Alright guys, we're back. And we're coming at you with something a little different this time. Instead of pointing out Trisha Paytas' lies today, we're going to be pointing out the inconsistencies of creators who continue to push a narrative that just simply isn't true. Now we're not saying this creator got what she got wrong on purpose, but we are saying that she got a few things wrong that we want to take the time to correct for the record. We're going to start with the claim that Trisha outright denied her ex-boyfriend Jason Nash's allegations of the time that she drove high on meth to his house to terrorize him.
Jason Nash alleges that on Trisha Paytas' birthday, she was high on meth and ran into his home with her car, which she denies because she says that she doesn't remember that. So,
not only did Trisha not deny this claim, she actually bragged about doing it and went into great detail about what happened that night, as you can see here.
One you didn't see was the reason my boyfriend blocked me a year and a half ago, which ultimately was the best for both of us. I got high on meth on my birthday, demanded he talk to me, and when he said he wasn't going to see me on my birthday and go to sleep, I drove over to his house super high, crashed into his house, banged on all the doors, jumped into his pool naked, kicked and screamed through every window of the house. He got so scared after 3 hours, he left, and I chased him in my car to follow him.
The only thing I admit to is May 8th, 2019, when I went to Jason's house. That's like the only thing.
You did drive your car through Jason's house.
That's what she's
meth,
talking about,
right?
with like the brick through the wood thing. I admit to that. That part I admit. It's also to be noted, I haven't heard from Jason since the night I went to his house when I was high on meth, May 8th, 2019. So
yes, I did a whole video and I never released it. And it was like an hour and a half long video about why I was like loving meth this year, which is very not like me.
Did you say this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
My birthday party. After. Remember my birthday party? Oh!
Wow.
That's the tea. Oh my God, I got so much
Holy
tea.
shit.
Can we get Jason as a guest on this podcast? Because the tea at my birthday party is this. Jason blocked me that night.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I was on meth, and there was some tea to that whole story, but I feel like I should only say it if he's here.
It's crazy for me. Like, I had no idea. I thought you were in perfect health and in great mood.
Yeah, no.
As you can see, the way that she even talks about the event is with glee in her voice. She even refers to it as tea, and talks about how much she loved doing meth and by association what she had done while on meth. She even asks for Jason to be brought onto the podcast so they can talk about it while she laughs. She may be claiming now that she has no recollection, in spite of her going into great detail about it, but Trisha has not always denied that fact. She has shouted it from every rooftop she could find and claimed full ownership of doing it. Even in her personal videos with her husband, she confirms that she was, in fact, on meth on her birthday in 2019. One could argue that Trisha was simply repeating what Jason had said about what she did. However, the smoking gun is that she included details herself from that night. You see, David's lawyer argued that Trisha was a threat to not only Jason Nash for that night but to David Dobrik too. Trisha's response? She said David wasn't even there that night. How would she know that if she didn't remember and was just parroting back what she had heard? And if she truly doesn't remember that night, which apparently she's claiming now, how would she know David wasn't there? How is she so confident that David was not there that night while reiterating the details of what happened?
And for David's lawyer to use what Jason told him about that second time that I went to mental hospital, about like going to his house or whatever, and say that I was dangerous towards David when David wasn't even there, like that's so messed up.
She even mentions in this clip that this event of driving to Jason's house on meth was the reason for her second stay in another mental asylum. So if it didn't happen and she has no recollection of it, why has she gone into great detail about it? How does she know David wasn't there that night? And why would she have gone to a mental hospital for the second time if none of this took place? She knows it took place, and that's why she's so confident about the details of that night. Of what did and did not happen. That's why she bragged about it in several videos. So, no, Trisha Paytas has not always denied Jason's allegation. She has owned it and shared many more details on her own about it. The reason it's important to point this out is because when other creators spread lies that she tries to tell, it reinforces the idea that she can get away with them. It's important to note that she confessed to this crime because it paints a more accurate picture. If we continue to let the lies spread, then it looks as if Trisha is a victim of nasty lies being told about her to discredit her, which makes Jason the villain in a situation where he was very much the victim. The truth was that Trisha herself was the villain in that situation, and she has admitted to it. We can't continue to let this fact be swept under the rug to help her with this victim facade of hers. She can't be allowed to hurt people and then be treated as if she was the one hurt. That mentality is dangerous, and if we as creators are going to take the time to post deep dive videos, then we need to really dive deep and acknowledge the truths that we find. Not just spread surface level information without looking further into it. We need to be very careful about who we're pointing fingers at here, and we need to point them in the right direction. Another claim Nicole makes is that the VLGO squad treated Trisha poorly after her breakup with Jason Nash.
Trisha is not a big fan of Jeff Wittek for multiple reasons. Trisha kind of has beef with a lot of the people that are in the Vlog Squad because they treated her pretty poorly after her breakup with Jason Nash.
This is a narrative that Trisha herself has spread, and the only evidence of this or even claim of it is that the Vlog Squad ignored her after the breakup. Nicole even cites this as evidence of mistreatment.
Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein on Frenemies did an LA tour, and she points out the Starbucks in which Jeff Wittek ignores her at.
There's the Starbucks where Jeff Wittek blew me off. That one right there.
And he left his order on the counter and left the Starbucks. And that's when the famous beef started, you guys.
Jeff says it's because he doesn't respect her and, he wants to stand by his friends.
These people ignored her because she was dangerous. She confessed to driving her car through Jason's house while high on meth, as you just saw throughout all this various footage. Would you qualify keeping yourself and your friends safe as treating someone poorly? That's another narrative that needs to be dropped. It seems as if the people who were victimized are being considered villains for behaving in ways that victims would. Jason and his friends are villains because they wouldn't associate with her after she drove to his house on meth and terrorized him? That's the poor treatment? So if someone is abused and put in danger and they cut off all contact with their abuser, and so does everyone in their life, does that mean the abused person is now treating their abuser poorly? Is that the narrative we really want to support and spread? No, it isn't, which is why we are making this video to correct it. And if you're still not convinced that Trisha did show up to Jason's house on drugs to terrorize him, because she's now acting like it's out of the realm of possibility, here is Trisha confessing to showing up uninvited to Moses' house on drugs and terrorizing him too.
So when I met Moses, and at the beginning, I don't know if Moses liked me. I even tell him this. I don't know if he liked me that much at the beginning, but I think we were ones that over time grew in love, which I think is kind of good.
I
don't know.
You were more out there than he probably was. He lived more of a quiet life.
Well, and I was taking Xanax, so I'd show up to his house out of my mind. So
Sensing a pattern yet?